Democratic Party is such a wicked party now, and there's nothing good about them. And they support everything that go against God. They support abortion. They are against businesses. Uh, they let the inmates out of prisons. They took away the police force. They are into the transgender thing. They in some cases don't even want parents to be notified that their children are calling themselves transgender or whatever they got going on. They are against everything that's right. Why are you a part of that party?
Well, I think what you just said there applies to about the 10% most fringe elements of the Democratic Party. It
Like the
would be,
president and the governor of California
well, I don't think
and
so.
the
So I mean,
Democratic
I'll take them one at a time.
congressmen and things like that.
Well, I'll take them one at a time. So I ran for president because I think the Democratic Party needs to be much better at being the champion of small businesses. I've been an entrepreneur and an
Yeah,
investor my whole life, and I think capitalism is the best system that we have for bringing everybody's economic well-being up.
right.
And it also, small businesses create 70% of jobs. Democrats need to do a much better job of being the party of business and of workers. You can be the party of both. Now, on abortion, I do think, there's a lot of heat on both sides. I agreed with what Bill Clinton said. It should be safe, legal, and rare. And we haven't done enough to make it more rare. There should be more resources for adoption in this country. There should be, a collaboration where we come up with what the right policy is, and we shouldn't turn it into a kind of a yell fest at each other where we haven't come up with a good compromise. In terms of letting people out of prison, I'm here in Baltimore, Maryland, and one of my companies works to educate people in prisons and jails. And Wes Moore, our governor here, just did let tens of thousands of people out of prison who were arrested on marijuana charges of victimless crime. I supported that, but I don't support letting violent criminals out of prison until they have done their time, until they have been rehabilitated. And even then, we need to be careful because 70% of them might commit crimes again. So we have to do a much better job of making sure when people are in prison and jail, we rehabilitate them.
They let these people out with no bail bonds or anything, and most of these people come out, get out, and they go and commit the same crimes over again, or even worse. And then, I was just saying on my radio show this morning that when I go into a market now, supermarket, it's not uncommon to see people going in there stealing things and just walking right out of the store. You can hardly find the product that you're looking for. And the workers, they can't do anything about it because there are passed laws that in some states that you can steal up to $1,000 or so worth of merchandise and get away with it, and you can't do anything about it. Um, and recently in California, they passed a bill uh, that the businesses have a curfew. They have to shut down at a certain time of night. Rather than punishing the criminal, they're
Right.
punishing the criminal. I mean, the businesses. Why are you a part of a party that's so evil?
I think again, you're taking kind of the extreme element. I don't live in San Francisco. I live in Baltimore,
Well,
and
it's
our
the
mayor
same thing
here.
in Baltimore.
No, our mayor here is a Democrat, and
I know.
Brandon Scott. And actually, the murder rate has gone down by about 70% in the last 4 years, and especially in the last year. And they're doing community policing where they're trying to hire more people from the communities. They're actually allowing people to have relationships with the police officers that lead to more arrests and more reduction of crime. But I want to also say I agree with you that our country has gotten soft on crime too. I don't like going into a drugstore and seeing like all of the shaving stuff all locked
Yeah.
up, all the, right guard and whatever else locked up. We need to actually be prosecuting people for petty theft. It doesn't matter if somebody steals $5 or $500 worth of
Yeah.
stuff. That person needs to understand that that is illegal and is not part of what you should be doing in America. And we've let that go too much, and especially in San Francisco that you were talking about before.
And so, why are you a part of a party that's so evil? The Democratic Party. Why are you
So
a
again, I
member?
think
Why are you a
like
member of that party?
I'm a member of the Democratic Party because actually the Democratic Party has done more to help lift people out of poverty than
Where in
any other
Somalia? Where?
all over the country. So things like Social Security was invented by FDR. He was a Democrat. That was back in the 1930s. Medicare
Which was
is
a
one of
big
the most.
mistake because they should have allowed the individual to manage their own Social Security money by giving them that money back on their paychecks and they can put it in the bank and invest it. So that wasn't a good idea either.
Well, I'll tell you, I also agree that people should have the right to opt out of Social Security and have their individual accounts, like you were just talking about.
Right.
But Social Security and Medicare was created in the 1960s under Lyndon Johnson. Those two programs are the most popular government programs in this country. They have 85% support. So I would never, ever get rid of them, but I would allow people to choose to do different things, to choose more private options like Medicare Advantage is very popular for people who prefer a private plan if you're over 65. And for Social Security, there should be a way that you could opt out of that system and choose an account that you manage. I agree with you on that. I just think you have to realize these are government programs that were created that are very popular that have helped lift a lot of people out of poverty. We got to accept that too.
But governmental programs are never good for the people because it uh it causes people to rely on the government rather than relying on themselves. It causes them to become helpless, and then the government now has control over them, and they can take it away or give it to them whatever they want, and so people feel subject to the government. The government is never a good idea for the people, and the government is just supposed to work for us, build the roads, uh, strong military, and stay out of our business. They're never meant to be so involved in the individual life.
I actually do agree with some of that. I'm in favor of smaller government. I'm in favor of the government staying out of people's bedrooms, giving people more freedom to do
Yeah.
what they want with their lives. I was just at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas last week, and some people think I have a libertarian streak. I used to donate to the Cato Institute. I still donate to the Cato Institute. They're one of the most libertarian think tanks out there. So I believe very much in free speech, keeping the government out of our lives, reducing taxes, making the government smaller. But at the same time, I would make government more efficient. One of the main pillars of my presidential campaign is we got to modernize government. We got to use technology wherever possible. We got to make government more efficient, make it run like a business. We got to update our labor laws to not have people working for the government for their whole lives, but doing a tour of duty, tour of service for 2 years, 5 years. We want the best and the brightest to work for our government, not just people who are willing to work there 30 years and collect a big pension.
And so, why are you a member of an evil party? You never tell me why.
So I'm trying to ignore the fact that you call it an evil party because I don't think either party is evil. Sometimes I vote for Democrats, sometimes I vote for Republicans. I hope someday there's a libertarian candidate that's strong enough that I could vote for them, or an independent party candidate. But I don't think any of the parties are evil. I think they just are a way for groups to get together, collaborate, and try to have a consistent set of positions. And I agree with the Democratic Party on about 90% of their positions. And I agree with the Republican Party on about 60% of their positions. And that's why a lot of people think those two parties are kind of in cahoots because they actually do overlap in a lot of areas and have similar sets of policies. Like you and I want smaller government, but as far as I can tell, both parties want bigger government.
Yeah, we definitely have a one-party system now in the
Yeah.
country. That's for sure. The
Yeah.
Republican Party, except for the Great White Hope, Donald Trump, the Republican Party is no good. Is no different than the Democratic Party. Are you going to vote for the Great White Hope?
I'm not going to vote for the Great White Hope.
And who is
I
the
think
Great White Hope?
I think you believe that Donald Trump is the great white hope from what I just heard.
Yes.
And
And you're
I
not
grew
voting
up
for
in,
him?
I'm not going to vote for him.
Uh,
I've endorsed Joe Biden for
What
president.
the?
I have endorsed Joe Biden, although I've also written an open letter to Joe Biden and said I think he should do the right thing
He's
and
not going to do the right
withdraw his
thing.
candidacy and let Kamala Harris or Gretchen Whitmer or one of the younger governors, Wes Moore here in Maryland. I think all of those people would be better presidential candidates this election than Biden.
And so,
But let me Well,
How
let me
would
tell you
those
why I think Donald Trump is not the right person.
how would
We
those women be a better president since we all know that women were not created to lead, they were created to follow. And I know you agree with that. Why would they be any better than Biden when it's not even in their DNA to be leaders?
I think Margaret Thatcher would disagree with you,
And
and
where is Margaret Thatcher now?
Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom for a
And
number
wh-
of years in the
and where is she
1980s.
now?
Well, now she's unfortunately dead and in
I
the
rest my
ground.
case.
But, Indira Gandhi was a great leader. There have been many great women leaders over time, and Gretchen Whitmer is my favorite governor right now. Actually, I
What
think she's governor of Michigan. Yeah,
do you
yeah.
agree with me that women were not created to lead but to follow?
No, I don't agree with that. In fact, I'm supporting a candidate who's running for office in North Carolina as an independent. Her name is Shalane Etchison,
What a
and
mess.
she was a member of the first special forces group in the military that was all women, and they played a really critical role in winning the Afghanistan war because they were able to use intelligence on the ground from the women in Afghanistan.
Oh,
Now,
they seduced
unfortunately,
them with their bodies?
no, they would use talking to women to understand the intelligence. Because a lot of times in the military, it's not just do you shoot the gun the best or can you drive the tank the best. It's can you gather the intelligence the best.
So the women gathered the intelligence by seducing the men with their bodies?
No, not seducing men with their bodies. They did it by talking
Because
to
that's
Afghani
work, you
women,
know.
befriending them.
Do you do you is it right or wrong for a woman to kill the man's baby in the womb? Is it right or wrong?
I think that it's a woman's choice to decide what to do with her pregnancy. And sometimes, the life of the mother is at risk, and you may have to choose to let the child go because you might be risking your own life. Um, but I overall think it should be a woman's choice what to do with her pregnancy. It's
Is
her
it
body.
is it right or wrong for a woman to kill the man's baby in her womb? Is it right or wrong?
I think it's not the man's baby. I think it's the woman's fetus. And so
If the
it's her
man
right.
had not put it in there, would there be a baby?
Uh, oftentimes, there's a man involved, but not always these days. We got new technologies.
So is it right or wrong for the woman to kill the man's baby in the womb?
It's up to each woman to decide for herself, and it's one of the most difficult decisions for a woman to ever make.
No, it's not. They kill these babies like not going north. They kill the baby for breakfast if they've had sex tonight at dinner. Is it right or wrong?
It's up to the woman, and I'm not the judge and jury. I'm not God.
So, but I'm asking, is it right or wrong
That's
for a
between
woman to kill the man's baby in the womb?
that's between each woman and her personal decision and her own religious beliefs.
But you personally can't tell me if you think that is right or wrong.
I would need to know more information. Was the woman raped? Is her life at risk? Was she a victim of incest? How old is the woman? Is she uh, 29 years old or 15 years old? There's so many variables here. I think each case has its own unique
And
circumstances.
so you personally can't tell me if you think that is right or wrong.
Correct. And that's partly because one of my principles is that I try not to judge. Now, of course, I'm a human being. So immediately, like a judgment comes into my head whenever I hear about a moral dilemma like this. But I've learned over time that there are a lot more details and circumstances that I may not know. And so I should hold my judgment until I have full
And
information.
that's true. But do you know right from wrong?
I think I do,
So
but I'm
is
still
this
learning it
right or
every year, I'll
wrong
tell
for a
you.
woman to kill the man's baby in the womb?
I think for me personally, if a woman was pregnant she should talk to the man who got her pregnant and they should make that decision together. That's my own personal belief. Now,
Amazing.
for the government, I don't think the government should be involved in that.
I
That should be
agree.
the woman's choice. That
I
should be the
agree to
woman's
that, but you still didn't tell me if you thought it was right or wrong. But we'll move on.